Thank you, Prime Minister. Look, I was pleased that this COAG meeting did look at some of the bigger issues for the future of the Australian Federation and its tax system in particular. There's no doubt with commodity prices falling, Australia faces a lower level of national income than we would have thought. And if we're to maintain what I think is an excellent health, education system and so on, and maintain and raise living standards, then government itself has to be more productive. So I'm very pleased the Prime Minister did raise some issues like the states sharing and income tax in the future. You know my views about GST. I don't think that can be ignored. Similarly, I think we need to look very seriously at defining responsibilities better between the Commonwealth and the states. And, if you take the example that's just been referred to, schools, well, 70% of kids go to a government school and the state governments fund 85 to 95% of state government schools. So we've already basically got that. We might as well clean it up and have a clear delineation of responsibility. It'll still all be a national curriculum, still be standards, registration and the like. So I just hope that we can, over the next 2 or 3 years, have that discussion and that we look at the facts rather than what we might perceive to be some of the issues or problems. So that's a good thing. I guess also pleased about the health agreement. Obviously that helps every state. And I'll just make a little passing comment on the gap, if you like, the so-called $80 billion during the time of Julia Gillard. I was the only person here today that was here then, that time ago. And I remember that COAG meeting very, very clearly. It was somewhat chaotic. There were little private meetings in different rooms as the then Prime Minister and State Premiers scurried from room to room, and the $80 billion figure appeared. I didn't at the time forever believe that that was a realistic number or that that could be properly funded. And it was inconsistent in all sorts of ways. Why Gonski, good principles about education. But I'll give you just one example, and it's a West Australian perspective. Some of the figures that were touted out at that meeting, for example, showed that one school in Queensland would receive extra funding, which I don't begrudge, but one school in Queensland would receive extra funding which would exceed all of the extra funding going to all schools in Western Australia. That was the level of inconsistency and ad hocery about that so-called 80 billion. So look, I know that we had various premiers at the time walk out Neville Chamberlain style, waving the piece of paper, peace in our time. It wasn't, and it hasn't been, and it won't be. But I think it is true to say, and I think Mike Baird and others have made it very clear, funding health is our biggest challenge right across Australia. And I think the Prime Minister said, that's something we'll have to share in. And I think that the progress over this week has been good.
Thank you very much.